We need to talk about Attack the Block at some point as well. I know that we're still drinking.
I'll tell you what, let's finish up these beers real fast while we introduce the film. So Frank, tell us, because you're the one that introduced it to me, Attack the Block, the motion picture that just recently got released here in America.
Indeed. And
it's by the producers of Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. Not the director, though. It's the writer and director was Cornish. What's his first name? I can just make one up. It doesn't matter. I think Robert Cornish. Scott Cornish.
Whatever. It
doesn't
matter.
Daniel Cornish. There you go.
James.
This is 2011, just Wikipedia. But anyway,
thank you, Keegan.
First writer and director, so it's just premiere. But just go ahead and tell us the premise of this. By the way, have you seen Attack the Block?
No.
Dude, you're going to love this movie. You can barely understand anything. It's like, remember how in Snatch you can barely understand?
Yeah, it's all right,
Joe,
well, this is
Joe Cornish.
Joe Cornish. This is all the ghettos of London. And so the speak is a little bit, not Cockney at all.
It is Cockney.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, my mother's from London, and she's just like straight up Cockney. And
is it? Okay, because it's not rhyming Cockney, which is what they use in Snatch, stuff like that. But it is... I didn't have any problem understanding it.
I didn't have too much trouble understanding it either. However, that's what got it. That's what kept it from being released in the United States officially. It had 3 theatrical releases. One was at the ArcLight in L.A. where I used to live, but I moved like a year before that actually happened, so sucks to be me.
Yeah.
There was one in New York, and then there's one, I think, in Chicago. But basically, like, the article that I read was just like one of the greatest films of the year that you will never see. Why? Because it's in English. And it really is in fucking English, man. Like, the way these people speak, you can't understand it if you're used to listening to people with accents.
Well, to me, it was just, most of it was context. When the guy says straight up, Buv, I'm going to believe what you're saying, Buv.
Right.
Listen to what I'm saying. I'm telling you the truth, friend of mine. Like, it just wasn't even that hard to me.
But even the way that they're saying it, I think that gets confusing. Even people who speak the Queen's English, I know people right now that are just American who...
If you can't understand it at slow speed, go ahead and listen to grime rap, which is like a British style of rap, and that'll speed it up for you. Once you watch that movie, it'll be slow enough where you can understand.
If you get the Blu-ray, just throw on the subtitles as well.
Exactly. Because I know people who can't. I know people who can't follow any British cinema at all because they can't understand the accent.
Yeah.
When it's the Queen's English accent, like it's the good accent, and they still can't understand it. It's like, well, it's their version of our Hollywood accent, which everybody speaks our Hollywood accent basically. But whenever you go into the inner cities, people are speaking in a way that's like, that's still English, and you can still, like, if you focus, you can understand what they're saying, but otherwise you really kind of can't. And that's sort of the way that Attack the Block is. It's inner city kids. I mean, in fact, it begins with a robbery, and the main characters rob this, middle-class London girl. This white lady.
White lady.
Which obviously also means that most of the main characters are black males in their teens.
Now, do you think that's another reason why it didn't really get here in Dallas?
No, you know what? I didn't even think about that.
Well,
do you
here,
think that
here
it's
in
fact
Texas,
that it's young
black? Hold on. Here in Texas, maybe, but in the United States, no.
Yeah, like East Coast, yeah.
I think that the only reason that it didn't do well is because so many people have so much trouble with English and then Cockney English on top of that. That's so confusing.
Well, we talked about the language for a while, and let's get into the meat of it. While you do that, I'm going to go ahead and I got to take a bathroom break, but I don't want to stop the show because you guys seem to have such a great rapport going on. I'm just going to duck out for a minute.
All right.
I'm going to go pee-pee.
Yeah, we'll just talk about it.
If you can make sure to wash your hands, that'd be great.
Catch him up to where I'm already at, and then I'll come back in and I'll steal the show.
Okay, yeah, that's what you do.
I'm going to open this other beer, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that man does.
And by the way, the music in that movie is actually done by one of my favorite DJs, Basement Jax.
Interesting. Yeah. I did read that at some point, and I was like, yes. But yeah, so basically it's about this...
If you don't know who they are, they've done commercials for, I'm wanting to say Budweiser. They've done music for those kind of commercials. They did...
Budweiser commercial, I can't remember.
It was a few years back. But,
the band I'm familiar with.
It was more of a techno song, but...
okay. Yeah, I mean, that's what...
They did that. They did...
like.
What else? There was a movie that came out recently that they did the full soundtrack for. I can't remember what it's called. But if I remember it, I'll say it on the air at some point. But
please do. But yeah, so basically it's about this, these group of hooligans who are robbing this particular woman, and a meteorite, or what seems like a meteorite, flies down and bashes a car next to them, and they discover this alien inside of it. And so they kill that alien because it's, marked them. I think it scratches one of them, so they get upset and they kill it because that's kind of like their territory, and they're trying to, like, be, the American equivalent of gangsters, like you fuck with my corner, shit, so I'm going to come fuck with you, yeah? Mm-hmm. And as the film progresses, you start to realize how young these kids really are and why they're in those situations.
I started thought they were like 18 to 25 as the film started. And you find out.
And you start to have these like moments where like you see what their home life is like, you see what their parents are like, you see how they were kind of raised, and you start to go, oh, these are just poor kids who have zero direction in life, and now we're being attacked by aliens. And that's what the film is about. It's genius.
So is it a comedy like most of the other films?
It's a little bit of a comedy. It's but it's
definitely a horror monster film. But
it is a monster film.
But they take every moment they can to bring some levity to it.
Right.
First of all, the creatures, the design of the creatures, which because
very
I don't want to
clever.
get away into the plot, but
right.
Go pull up, watch the trailer online. But the way the creatures are, they're almost like these dog gorillas with luminescent teeth. And then they flatten it digitally so that anytime the creature's on screen, no matter how they're moving in 3-dimension, you just see a black 2-dimensional shadow. Mm-hmm. But the teeth are 3-dimensional, gaping into a mouth. So it's unbelievably creepy to see this like flat shadow moving, but the mouth moves.
And they make reference to that. Like the whole idea is that these creatures are so black and they absorb light, so that you can't actually physically see them. So even when they're in the light, they're still absorbing light.
Right, that's what's creepy. They'll run under a spotlight or something, and their skin, their hair, because they're like hairy gorilla dog type things, don't reflect light. So it's almost like this digital black, but it has all the really fine hair. Now, here's something, I know this sounds weird, but I'm going to bring it up. Is it weird that it's a bunch of young black protagonists, right? No, I'm asking for real, and then the monsters are these even blacker, more ferocious. Because what I'm saying is in most films,
this movie
and I'm
is
not
racist.
being silly, right, well, no, actually I think it's making the opposite arguments, because in most movies, the black guy or the young black guy is portrayed as the animal, the thing that's just acting on instinct, and the white person is portrayed as the protagonist, the smart intellectual. Well, in this, you have a whole group of originally, yes, criminals that start out like that, but they're a group, they're a family. They call each other fam all the time.
Yep.
And so the idea
fam
that, or
bruv.
so it's a close, tight-knit, very intellectual. And when you find out they're only 12, 13, 14 years old, one as young as 8 or 9, aren't they like Probs and Mayhem?
Right. The two
little kids
saved one of them.
Right.
Actually,
so you start seeing that these are obviously very intellectual, very clever, very strategy-oriented people. And what are they fighting? I know this sounds weird, but the even darker force that absorbs light, that's gnashing. And I mean, do you think that there's any type of symbolism there that they were like, well, let's take these characters that normally consider so dark compared to white, let's slide the scale down. If we're going to have the, and at least I didn't think about that when I was watching it, but once you said that, I was thinking that it's almost weird the scale set down. We're like, only because most people are, if you watch a film about 6 black guys, or really it was 4 black young kids, and then 1 white nerdy guy, and then 2 drug dealers, and then Nick Frost is a fat old, I mean, so there's a huge mix of people. Sure. But when most people watch it, I think they're going to say, okay, there's 4 to 5, young black, I won't say African American, and that's just because, look at me. I'm almost calling people that are Britain, black guys in Britain, African American. Makes no sense whatsoever. But
yeah, see, if you're in England, you're just English. If you're an American, you have to be separated somehow.
Exactly. Yeah. But I wonder if that was a little bit of a comment on. So if you need a villain, if I'm going to make these young black gentlemen the protagonist, I've got to come up with an even darker villain. Is that what white people need to see to watch a film? You know what I mean?
I don't think that's where that was going.
Gandalf the White or anything. I didn't know it's Gandalf the White attacking these brave young gentlemen in the streets.
Right.
So the idea is that
you start to see things from Sauron's point of view.
Oh, look who's here. Well, Carol, you're going to hop over here.
Oh, no. Hold on. We're going to hold off on that for one moment.
Okay.
Here. The first thing that we need to do is I need to try this beer.
Yeah, let's start on this.
I need a glass to put it in.
I think that.
So while you're two doing that, I'm going to tell you,
Facebook.com/.
Oh, do we have a call coming in? Unbelievably rude.
No way.
Can't you guys see we're doing a show?
This is the DELoL show. What do you want?
What?
Can I help you?
Yeah, I was going to call into the show. I thought I'd send a shout out to my brother. I'm watching him on here.
Frank, your brother's calling in.
That's my brother.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, is that my brother?
Hey,
what's the delay?
Have I told you lately that you're a faggot? Because if I haven't,
Or is there one?
There is a delay. Is there a
I love
delay
you.
between
I love you,
what we're
Mike.
saying?
I love you, Mike.
Love you, Steve.
Now, what does Mike do for a living?
I wish you the best.
What's your brother's
I love
real
my
name?
brother. I love my brother.
Bruv. Just go in there, because like after
Bruv.
watching,
Yeah, from
after
now on.
watching Attack the Block, seriously, like I'm gonna start throwing that out.
It's all bruv and fam.
Bruv and fam. So
This is my brother. He's in Minneapolis right now. He's actually he's walking to us from Minneapolis.
Drunk guy always prevails.
Yeah.
oh, awesome.
Yeah.
What's his real name? Is it?
His name's Matt Hanks. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Matt.
So yeah.
Cool.
All right, I'm getting confused because I'm watching and listening at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
No.
Yeah,
turn
You
your radio
should
down.
always turn off your radio
Turn
or
your radio down.
No, not because of that. Just because I'm not sure where we are in the linear sense.
Oh well.
Yeah.
If you're watching, if you're actually watching on the internet.
Okay, I'm back.
there's about
I'm just on the phone now.
There's about a
Okay,
2 to
perfect.
3 second delay on the video.
What are we talking about? I'm sure I have some great insight.
Talking
All right,
about
right now,
beers?
have you seen Attack the Block?
The stacks of what?
Attack the Block.
Attack the Block.
Yeah.
All right, first of all,
the
that's
new,
your assignment tonight. You got to go home and watch that movie.
What year? What year is this from?
This year,
Brand
man, it
new,
was
brand
great.
new.
It was
No. Last or the year before. It
First
took
of
a
all,
while.
don't
It was this
correct
year.
me, Frank. I'm
I
going to
was-
correct myself. It was last year. I'm sorry, my friend jumped in.